How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and we are back with another video today. We will be talking about consumables, a little bit of what these are and the different type of options that you can get here, and some other factors that can go into play. So for this, I wanted to kind of take a look at the big picture of this. There are a lot of consumables in the game, like quite a lot. There is boosts. There are food and potions, potions of different categories, potions on separate cooldown timers. There's elemental resistances, affliction resistances, and just a whole 9 yards, like everything you could possibly imagine, right? So it can be quite confusing, and I think it will be a little while before we fully understand like the depth of what all these consumables are being used for. So I think getting a decent heads up on that and kind of focusing on some of the things that you can do while leveling is probably good. I'll cover some of the end game options as well, but we'll do like a full 100% end game consumable guide later at some point. But for now, we're just going to do like a brief overview of just like some of the things you can keep an eye out and like what you should kind of have on your hotbar and what will help you while leveling and things of that nature. We'll also discuss some of those bigger ones too, just in case you're a person who's definitely into crafting and you want to have some of these boosts available, because they are like craftable from tier 1 upwards for most of them. So you could get like low level versions of them to help you out along the way. So with that being said, we are going to use our handy dandy tool, the New World database website. So shout out to Gio once again, and we will hop on over to that and check out some of these consumables. All right, here we are on the New World database website. Resource link will be in the description, so go ahead and check that out and give them some support, as they are doing quite a service for the community here. So with that being said, we will jump into the first consumable, the most obvious one, health pots. So health pots are pretty standard. They do scale percentage-wise. So if you take a look over here where the pointer is, we can see that this will restore a portion of your health percentage and then a flat amount, right? So this is true on all versions of the health pot. So even the weakest health potion, the weak health potion, literally called weak health potion, it will restore a percent of your HP. And this number is higher or lower depending on like just various factors. There's also the constitution thing that buffs the amount of health that your health potion can restore. But it's just very basic, right? Everyone knows this one. So you're going to want these. You're going to want to be able to chug these. I believe it's on a 30 to 40 second cooldown. I'm not sure which one exactly, but if you want to comment down below and tell me which one that is, that'd be appreciated. But basically, it will be separate from all the other health and mana and rejuvenation potions. And yes, you heard that right. It's a separate cooldown. Not a lot of people know that. So we'll hop into the next one. This is going to be our infused mana potion, or just mana pots in general. Usually these do a portion of your mana. This one does all of it. It's just the highest tier, so we're using highest tier for reference here. So that will be like something that's going to boost you up. It's got a separate cooldown from the health pot. So if you are a mage or a healer, you will maybe want to make use of this. And honestly, if you can make use of these potions and not have to add extra talents into your build to deal with mana problems, you might see a whole new avenue of build open up. So definitely keep that in mind. We'll hop into my personal favorite, this next one, Infused Regeneration Potion. This one is really nice. It does health and mana, but it does it over time. I believe if you get hit, this effect will go off, kind of like the food deal, like where if you get hit while you're eating food buff, it'll kind of fall off. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do know that you can have this, you can use this and a health pot. So like you can chug a health pot, heal up, and then use an infused regeneration health potion to continually heal after that as well. So if you don't have these on you while you're leveling, that's a mistake. Make sure you get some of the, even the lowest tier, like the low tier ones. Keep these along the way. You'll find them. Make sure you use them. They're quite nice, actually. So now we'll hop into some of the specialty potions. And these are a bit odd, but basically This is going to give you like a small buff, and it does fall under this boost category, which is something you'll see a lot in buffs and stuff, so it's going to be hard to stack these things up. But this is just a potion that gives you a lot of stamina regeneration, so you'll be able to dodge often. I don't know what the exact use for this is, but it's one that's very unique. So it might be like an end-game potion type deal. More than anything, I probably wouldn't focus on it while leveling, so we won't talk too much about it. The next one we have is a focus potion. So this one is actually useful while leveling. What this does is it just increases your mana regeneration by a certain amount for 60 seconds. So you can basically look at it like a, I don't know, just like an extra mana pot, so to say. But it is under that boost category as well. So some of these things may not overlap with the other things. So just make sure you keep note of that. Going on to the next item, you will see a series of these type of items, which would be like cure-all potions for corruption stuff. So basically, this one is the highest one. You know, it's going to remove the corruption. You're going to get immunity to it for a short time. There are other ones that give resistances to the corruption and cure the corruption affliction. So that's a good one to keep in mind. I know we talked about afflictions a bit in some of the past videos, but essentially TLDR, corruption is the affliction that's placed upon you whenever you get near one of those corrupted portals, and you can kind of tell by this like Zergy-like infected ground around the portal. And you'll see that resistance bar kind of ticking down. If it ticks down to 0, you take a massive amount of damage, and it's just not fun to deal with, right? So having a couple of these, if you ever do portals, is really good. So make sure you keep those on you if you plan to get anywhere near corrupted areas, for sure. And then Blight Tincture, this is going to be the counterpart for the corrupted one. It's the same thing, but it just cures the Blight affliction, which is mainly present in Eden's Grove. It's super obnoxious to deal with. The disease will literally kill you like 4 times over while you're healing, so just do not get blighted whatever you do. Just make sure you get out of the blight zone before your resistance drops to 0, because once you're poisoned, it's rough. It's very rough. But definitely keep some of these things on you as well as the resistance potions. So now we'll go into like those resistance potions we're talking about specifically. So every category in the game has a potion like this. It would take too long to pull them all up, so we'll just look at this one. This one's for fire, so it's just going to increase that absorption rate and like the amount of damage you can mitigate from that element for a certain amount of time. There's the same thing for nature, for frost, for damage from corrupted enemies, damage from blighted enemies, slashing, like physical damage, all kinds of things like that. So just keep in mind that those do exist. So if you're having trouble on a specific boss in an instance or something like that, this could be the route to go for you. So we'll go ahead and go forward here. Next one is going to be the powerful incense. This is a bit of a weird item, but basically it's going to give you like all around resistances to different afflictions, and those are like, you know, the blight and things like that, but there's also different things like disease, poison, bleed, things of that nature. I probably wouldn't look too much into this. This is probably an in-game thing, so I wouldn't really look too hard at this one. There is the other version, which is like elemental guard type, and this would be under the boost category. So I believe you can only have one of these boosts active at the same time, but this is just going to kind of absorb damage from all elements, all magical elements, so to say. So this is what I was talking about when I was referring to like absorbing different elemental types. And then we have my personal favorite here, the Honing Stone. This one's awesome. Great item for min-maxers. It's basically just going to give you a percentage damage boost along the way, and it's very, very, very useful. So you can make a 4% version of this. It's quite small, and you can definitely get a lot of work done here for sure. It's dirt cheap to make, by the way, the 4% version, so highly recommend you have that on you. The next one, we'll talk about foods. So in the beta and some of the previous versions of the game, you used to be able to triple stack foods. I don't know if that's true still or will be true in the open beta, but we will find out. But there is a type or a category for each food. So here you see recovery, and there will be another type called like trade skill, and then one final type that would be like an attribute type food, which would give you a buff to a stat. So I would break those down into those three categories. There's like recovery foods, trade skill foods, and then attribute foods. And so those are important to keep in mind, because if they're still working like they were before, you will be able to have 3 food buffs up and get that 1% healing every 2.5 seconds from all 3 of them. I don't know if that will be 100% in. They might have removed it or taken it out. So let's, grain of salt with that one. Comment below if you experience that in the beta, and if you think that will still be within the open beta coming up here. But basically, all these foods do, the quick recovery foods, just going to give you healing per second for 20 seconds. So they're good to have as getting that 20-minute buff after. If you read on, you get this buff, 1% of your health every 2.5 seconds for 20 minutes, which just gives you auto recovery so you don't have to stop. The top part here is really good, because if you have strong food, you can actually use this as a second health pot to keep going. And as long as you do not get hit, this 20 seconds will keep healing. But once you get hit, that drops off. So you can possibly use this in battle if you can get some distance and dodge whatever it is that's coming at you. And the heal is quite nice. As you can see, that's almost 4,000 health over the course of 20 seconds. So definitely is a second health potion. So keep that in mind. Have tons of these stocked up on you. I believe it starts with light rations at level 1, which is like a 50 health per second for 20 seconds. But this 1% health stays the same, this buff here, for all tiers of the food. Okay, going into the next category, we will look at a different version of the recovery food. So this one will give you that same 1% buff, although it doesn't say that for some reason. Oh, it does actually down here. You will get this 1% buff. But the cool part about this is, instead of healing, you will get a bonus. And so this bonus is great for mages or life staff users. Mana regeneration by 30%. So if you are a caster, you will probably want this instead of regular food. You will want some regular food too to get some like that health bonus going on, or just healing if you need it. But this will give you the healing passive and regeneration for a long time, and 30% is huge. It's really good, trust me. So you're definitely going to want this one. Then we'll go into the final recovery part, which is going to be this odd one. I think there's a few other specialty ones, but this one's pretty good because it gives you stamina regeneration by 25%, which is like your ability to dodge and recover that energy to dodge. So definitely something I would consider, especially while leveling. If you're not a caster, this is 100% your go-to. There's no reason not to have this buff on you, just for extra mobility and the ability to, just kind of interact with things. You still get that 1% health buff right here from this thing, but all 3 of these are in the same recovery category, you see over here. So you can only choose one of these buffs. You could choose to get that initial healing. You can choose to get the mana regen, or you can choose to get the stamina regen. There might be a couple others, but these are the notable ones. I'm not sure what the others do, but if you found any great ones, of course, comment below, and definitely kind of check that out. Let everyone know what you have found there, so that we can kind of share and collaborate some info. So yeah, this one's definitely really solid. Would recommend. And we will jump into the next subcategory of foods, which is gonna be trade skill foods. So this is going to increase some trade skill, right? It could be weaponsmith or whatever. So the only reason that this would matter if you're not a crafter is if that triple food buff kind of deal still exists in the game, because it's still going to give you this 1% recovery in addition to whatever this buff is. And this one's useless in combat, but this one is going to, just give you health regen. So before, you used to be able to get 3 of these buffs on you. And again, TLDR, grain of salt, we may or may not, that might not still be in the game. So just keep that in mind. So we'll go on to the next one, and this would be the stat version of that food. This is a high level food, so 40 dex, you're like, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, it's really low in the beginning. It's like 6 dex or something. You can also get mixed stats. You can get part dex, part constitution or something like that, or whatever variety or combination that you want. Each one's different. But I would definitely keep an eye out for this, as this would be a attribute category. So it should be in a separate category and then give you this restores 1% health. This is the third, version of the food buff, essentially, if it's working like it was working before. If it's not working like that, then you would probably just, pick one of these as your choice, and that's perfectly okay, but at least you know some of the options here that you can kind of get. Okay, so we will jump into the final section, which is going to be weapon coatings. These are basically buffs that you put on your weapon. They seem to be targeting specific enemy types. So corrupted, beasts, ancients, the lost, things of that nature. So these are the type of bonuses that you'll see. And this is quite a good buff for PvE. As you can see, 15% damage bonus when fighting corrupted. If you take this into, the depths, and you start fighting the monsters in there, you're going to be real happy that you have this buff on, because it will do quite a good damage boost for you. But definitely could be more of an in-game thing. There's smaller versions of this, so if you know that you're grinding a corrupted area, or you're questing in a corrupted area or a lost area, you could get one of these boosts to kind of help you along the way. And keep in mind that all these buffs are pretty minimal, so it's not like super necessary. It's just like quality of life things that can help you out. All right, and that's pretty much it for a brief coverage of some of the consumables, mainly just focused on, hey, these are available, it's what you can use. This is not a full in-game, in-depth consumable guide, so just keep that in mind. We will cover that in a later video once we get some finalized consumable products and everything is kind of working there, as it's been, would be locked in place from the launch of the game. So we will be doing that, so look forward to it. And if you liked the content or you learned something, be sure to hit subscribe, like, and the bell, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.